Ram Rembrandt to Picasso. Five ways to spot a fake masterpiece. Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Now we talk about masterpiece. The recent discovery of an art for forger forgers workshops reminds us of the long history of fraudulent artwork. Here are the simple rules to work them out. It's everywhere: fake news, deep fakes, identity fraud. So ensured and snared are we in a culture of digitized deceptions, a phenomenon increasingly augmented by artificial intelligence. It would be easy to think that research itself is a high-tech invention of the cyber age. Recent revelations, however, from the discovery of an elaborate, if decidedly low-tech, art forgers workshops in Rome to the sensational allegations that a cherished Baroque masterpiece in London's National Gallery is a crude simulacrum of a lost original remind us that duplicity in the world of art has a long and storied history on Brighton, not in binary ones and zeros, but is in impossible pigments, clumsy brush strokes, and suspicious signatures. When it comes to falsification and phonies, there is indeed no you think under the sun. On 19 February, Italy's Carabinieri Command for the Protection of Cultural Heritage uncovered covert forgery operations in a northern district of Rome. Authorities confiscated more than 70 fraudulent artwork falsely attributed to notable artists from Pissarro to Picasso, Rembrandt, branded to Dora Maar, along with the materials used to mimic vintage canvases, artist signatures, and the stamps of galleries no longer in operations. The suspect, who has yet to be apprehended, is thought to have used online platforms such as Katawiki and eBay to their phony wars, deceiving potential buyers with convincing certificates of authenticity that they likewise contribute. News of the clandestine lab's discovery was quickly followed by publicly for a new book due for release this week, alleging that one of the National Gallery highlights is not at all what it seems, according to the two artists and historian Aprons Doxides, author of NGC 461. The fake National Gallery ruins the painting Salmons and Delilah, a large oil on wood attributed to the 17th century Flemish master Peter Paul Rubens and purchased by the London Museum in 1980, 2.5 million. Then the second highest price ever paid for a painting at auction is 3 centuries younger than the date of 1609-10 that sits behind it on the gallery wall, and it incalculable sorry is incalculably less accomplished than the museum believes. You can think the couples, the warriors. I don't know his name. Samson and Delilah by Peter Paul Rubens. The creativity. You can think. Doxyd's conclusion corroborates on reached in 2021 by the Swiss company Art Recognition, which determined through the use of AI that there was a 91% probability that Samson and Delilah is the work of someone other than Rubens. Her assertion that the brushwork we see in the painting is crash and wholly inconsistent with the fluid flow of the Flemish master's hand is strongly contested by the National Gallery, which stands by its attribution. Samson and Delilah has long been accepted by the leading Rubens scholars as a masterpiece by Peter Paul Rubens. It said a statement given to the BBC painted on wood panel in oil shortly after his return to Antwerp in 1608 and demonstrating all that the artist had learned in Italy. It is a work of the highest aesthetic quality. A technical examinations of the picture was presented in an article in the National Gallery Technical Bulletin in 1983. The findings remain valid. The divergence of opinion between the museum experts and those who doubt the work's authenticity opens a curious space in which to reflect on intriguing questions of artists' value and merit. Is there ever legitimacy in forgery? Can fix by masterpiece as more sophisticated tools of analysis are applied to paintings and drawings whose legitimacy has long been questioned, including several works attributed to Leonardo da Vinci, such as the hotly disputed chalk and ink drawing La Bella Principessa, as well as those whose validity has never been in doubt. Debates about the integrity of cultural icons are only likely to accelerate. What follows are handful of handy principles to keep in mind when navigating the impending controversies. 5 simple rules for spotting a fake masterpiece. Pigments never lie. Rule number 1. To be a successful art forger requires more than technical proficiency and a misplaced ethical compass. It is not enough to approximate the divvy dots of a George Seurat, say, or the thick expressive swirls of Vincent van Gogh. You need to know your history as well as your chemistry anachronistic Pigments will give you away every time and were the downfall of German art forger Wolfgang Beltracchi and his wife Helena, who succeeded in selling makeshift modernist masterpieces for millions before a careless squeeze of prefab paint onto their audacious palettes in 2006 sealed their fate. Beltracchi, whose modus operandi was to create new works by everyone from Max Ernst to Andre Derain, rather than recreate lost ones, was always careful to mix his own paints to ensure they contained only ingredients available to whomever he was attempting to imper- impersonate. He only slipped up once, and that was in fabricating a wonky, dare blue, rather ish red landscape and zigzag horses that he attributed to the German expression Heinrich Campbell Beltracchi reached for ready-made tube of paint, which he had not realized contained a pinch of titanium white, a relatively new pigment to which Campbell would not have had access. It was all investigators would need to prove the work, which had sold for 2.8 million, was a fake. Beltracchi was unlucky. The gap between the titanium white's availability and its potentially used by component was only a few years on occasion, and divide is a shockingly wide analysis of portrait of Saint Jerome, once attributed to the Italian master Parmigian and sold by Sotheby's Sotheby's auctions house in 2012 for 842,500 dollar exposed the prevalence throughout the work of pythologician green, a synthetic pigment invented in 1935, 4 centuries after the 16th century Renaissance artists worked. Artists may be visionaries, but they not time travels. Keep the past presents. It is uplifting to believe that one's value as a person is not tethered to a past, not so with art, paintings, sculpture, or drawing without a heavy history is not less more inspiring for its lack of baggage. It is suspicious, or rather, it should be all too often. Greed can interfere in the clear sightedness as assessing the authenticity of a painting of sculpture. Things have histories. We want them to have. That was certainly the case case with a succession of phony wormies that issued from the workers of a Dutch portrait. Hen van Meegeren, one of the most prolific and successful forgers of the 20th century, desperate to believe that the miraculous appearance of canvases, including a depiction of Christ and the man at Emmaus, might be lost masterpiece from the same hand that made Girl with a Pearl Earring and the Milkmaid. Collectors were blind to the glaring absence of the any trace of the painting's provenance, their prior ownership, exhibitions, history, and proof of sales. Everyone was fooled in authenticating the painting in the Burlington magazine. On the one expert insisted is in no other picture by the great master of Delft do we find such a sentiment, such a profound understanding of a Bible story, a sentiment so nobly human expressed through the medium of the highest art, but it was all a lie in a remarkable twist when Migrant eventually choose to expose himself as a fraudster shortly after the end of the World War II. After being charged, the Dutch authorities with the crime of selling a Vermeer, therefore a national treasure, to the Nazi official Hermann National Georgine to prove his if innocence it might be called, and demonstrate that he had merely sold a worthless fake of his own fortune, not a real old master. When Migraine performed the extraordinary feat of whisking up a fresh masterpiece from a then air before the experts astonished eyes while Vermeer. You can see the photo, the Hay Wave by John Constable. The picture. Rule 3. Squint. Artists gestures their simultaneously studied and instinctive brushwork and drug drugmanship are nothing less than fingerprints right large across canvases and works on paper on artists lightness of touch and another sturdiness of stroke are exceedingly tricky to falsify, especially if you are conscious that every twitch of your brush and jot of your pen will be scrutinized by suspicious eyes and cutting edge equipment's pressure under pressure is hard to maintain an obstacle that the British forger Eric Haber, who died under suspicious circumstances in Rome in 1996 after a career spent fighting. Counterfighting. More than 1,000 works attributed to everyone from Mantegna to Tiepolo was into piracy, overcame with alcohol. By all the accounts, brandy was heaven triple of choice of calming his rattling nerves. It allowed him to inhabit without inhibition the mind and muscle of whichever would master he was channeling, whereas fakes from the hands of Baltracci and Wayne Migraine have since been found under closer inspection to be riddled with incoherent gesture, the fluidity of drawings falsified by the tipsy Hebron in his heyday in the 1970s 80s continues to confound the experts to the day institutions that possess works that pass thought. His hands refuse to accept the art all fakes such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art pen and the link drawing view of the templates of Venus and Diana from the south. A work it still insists is from the circle of Jan Bruegel the Elder. What do you think? Rule number 4, go deeper. This is most important. Go deeper. Not about just this field. When the analysis of pigments, provinces, and paintbrush pressure still leaves you stumped, it may be necessary to dive a little deeper. For 20 years since the 1990s, the authenticity of a still life purportedly by Vincent van Gogh was serially confirmed and refuted by the experts to some the garish rates and submarine blues that host eerily from the bouquet of roses, daisies, and the wildflowers. We did not have the ring of truth and seemed at odds with the painter's play. The absence of an any ownership record for the painting did not help. But an X-ray undertaken in 2012 put questions of rest when it revealed that the artist pinching pennies used a canvas on which he had created another image entirely onto which he makes explicit reference in a letter from January 1886. This week, when Gauss remarked to his brother, though I painted a large thing with two nude torsos, two wrestlers, and I really like doing that, as if proleptically anticipating the ensuing scholarly wrongly over the work's authenticity, that the painting would in time trigger the aesthetics tussle of the two athletes trapped beneath paint for over a century. Not only rescued the work from unfair allegations of illegitimacy, it created a kind of fresh composite paintings, a vivid compressions, a freeze frame of a restless mind forever scuffling with itself depressive to survive. Rule number 5, this is last rule. Listen carefully. It's the little thing that give you away. Away. As a final safeguard in authenticating a work of art run at the spell check, doing so would have saved the collector Pierre Legrand's $17 million, the price he paid in 2017 for an otherwise compelling forgery of a small 12 into 18 in 30 into 46 centimeters painting falsely attributed to the American abstracted expressionist Jackson Pollock, famous for his drippy style. Pollock has a surprisingly legibly signature and unmistakable C. Before the final K, the skipped consonant would do more than expose a single forgery. It would shatter the reputation of an entire gallery. The Slofi signature was just one of many missed red flags in works falsely attributed to Rothko, de Koning, Motherwell, and others that the Knoller Co. Gallery on of New York's oldest and most esteemed art institution succeeded in selling for 80 million. The fraudulent works had been supplied by a dubious dealer who claimed they came from an enigmatic collector. Mr. X, just before the scandal erupted in a press, the gallery closed its door after 165 years. Will the a suspected perpetrator of the fakes are self-taught Chinese septuagenarian by the name of Bai Shin Quine, who had operated from a forger's workshops in a Queens vanished. He later turned up in China. If you like this story, please like the video. We don't say like the video. If you like this story, thank you for watching my video. Thank you so much.